Batman is the newest version of one of the world's most famous superheroes. This new chapter in the character's history is portrayed by Robert Pattinson and directed by Matt Reeves. It has some really great moments, great characters, great writing overall. I think it's one of my favorite movies of the year, and today I'm going to explain why. I think this movie did a lot of great things, taking inspiration from previous Batman movies, but also giving it its own identity, starting with the tone of the movie and the way it presents these characters and their past, which is implied in a lot of the scenes. So let's start with the thing I enjoyed the most about the movie, which is the tone and the setting. I think Matt Reeves did a great job with the writing and the way the characters have their dark past, and the way the movie sets the tone with the soundtrack and the lightning and the setting and all that kind of stuff. I think this movie did a great job with that. It is really dark, it's gloomy. It has a lot of bits and pieces of humor in there, everything that builds towards the drama and how these characters, his past is implied. For example, this version of Batman, we don't see his parents die for the thousandth time, because it's something people have already known and seen in a lot of movies. So it's basically implied, kind of like the Spider-Man in the MCU, which we don't see his origin story. We already know who Batman is in this movie, and that's something I really appreciated, because we don't really need to see that again. But it does it in such a great way that also makes what happened before feel very real. And speaking about this version of the character, I think Robert Pattinson did a great job as the lead. I think him as a Bruce Wayne had a lot of great moments, but I think as a Batman, he really, really shines. He has a really distinct personality in the film, which is dark, and he's feels very broken in a lot of scenes, he had a really traumatic past, and you can really feel it in some ways. And this is also reflected in the soundtrack, in the mood, and the tone of the movie. It's really dark and basically a love letter for many emos everywhere. I think this movie is really enjoyable in that sense. It made me really want to go and check out my old Nirvana and Nine Inch Nail CDs, and I that's an aspect I really enjoyed about the movie too. But yeah, I really love this version of the character. I think his motivations too in the plot of the movie are really well done. So another thing I liked about the movie is that it takes a lot of plot elements from the Dark Knight series by Christopher Nolan, especially in the way it handles drama. It's basically thriller, a crime drama thriller, comparable to those movies, instead of the old ones, which were kind of goofy with these super villains trying to basically a cookie cutter superhero story we see in the comics. And this one continues that line Christopher Nolan started, of making really complex and interesting crime thrillers, which is something we see with the Riddler, played brilliantly by Paul Dano. I think he did an amazing job as the Riddler. He's this insane, unhinged character. He reminded me a lot of the Joker from The Dark Knight, and I say it in the best possible way. Not in a way trying to copy him, but just basically give this character his own personality, his own motivations. And I think the way they implemented the Riddler is kind of historical shtick of having the riddles and all that into a modern setting was really well done. So I really enjoyed this character, and the way he interacts with the other ones is really well done. The movie also introduces a new Catwoman played by Zoë Kravitz, which was really great. I think her interactions with Batman and their their relationship and is really well done, because this is a character who's portrayed as an anti-hero in a lot of the other movies, and I think in this one she takes more of a secondary protagonist role. So it was really great to see a Selena Kyle Catwoman with such great character development, and it really the way she interacts with the plot and her motivations. I feel sometimes the Batman is helping her reach her goals. It jumps around between her and also the way Batman is trying to find a Riddler. So I think their dynamic was really good, and they did a great job. The movie has other characters such as the Penguin, played by Colin Farrell, which did a really good job, and also the new Alfred, played by Andy Serkis. I think it was a really well done, and it's basically this cast was also a big part of why this movie was so good, because their acting and mixed with the writing also did a great job. And I think the mood and the themes covered in the movie were really well done. And in terms of action and pacing, I think the movie did a great job too. So it's 3 hours long, which makes it one of the longest Batman movies to date. I didn't know how a 3 hour long Batman movie was going to be. But I think it did a good job from the beginning to the very end, just being interesting, being fast-paced. So the action and the drama scenes are intertwined in a really good way, that it doesn't feel overwhelming one side or the other. And it's just a very good mix. I think it flows really well all the way to the very end. Some of the aspects of Batman's past are very well explored. I think the 3 hour runtime also gives it a really good chance to like explore other aspects of the Batman we don't really see in other movies, and that's something I loved a lot. So I really hope this gets turned into a trilogy because I really like this movie, and I think it's gonna be one of the best of the 2022. And to be honest, I kind of like it more than the Dark Knight series, especially like a little bit more than the Dark Knight. They're kind of like on the same level, but I think it's basically one of the best Batman movies of all time. Probably the best one if you don't count the Joker, because I really enjoy the Joker. I think it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I think the movie's not on that level in terms of drama and pacing, but I really enjoyed it. And sadly, we won't get to see this Batman fight that version of Joker because the timelines don't fit and all that. But it's still a really good movie, and it also proves that DC does a really good job just doing its own thing, just kind of like exploring different characters, different stories, even if they don't connect it to a like big flashy universe like Marvel is doing. I think they do a good job, just like these individual stories, as we saw with Peacemaker this year, as we saw with some of the others that don't have really much to do with the other ones, but just do their own thing. And that's something DC should probably do. It should probably stick to making more of these standalone stories compared to like this thing Marvel is doing. So yeah. So those are pretty much all my thoughts on the Batman. If you like this movie, please let me know. Overall, I'm going to give it an 85 out of 100. I really enjoyed it. I liked a lot of its aspects, the pacing. I really hope it gets a second or third part. I really liked it. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say for today. Have a great day, everybody, and go watch the Batman. See you later.